put your prices up and still have a business? Hi guys, Leash here. I wanted to jump in and share some kind of tips and kind of share a couple of bits of feedback that I've received this week from people who are like, how do I know I need to put my prices up, but I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I'm not sure what I'm meant to charge. I'm not sure when I'm meant to do it. And there's a lot of fear around it, especially right now if you're going back into clinic. And so what I wanted to share with you is some of the things that we teach or that I shared with our clients when they were like, I know I have to put my prices up, but I'm not sure how I'm going to go about it. And so the first thing is know what you're worth. Just understand that as massage practitioners and bodywork practitioners, we have the opportunity to spend a whole hour often with our hands-on our clients, which is more than any other industry. Also, when you step into the treatment room, you take with you everything that you have learned in the entire time you've been treating, whether you're just freshly in the industry or whether you've been doing this a while. We don't often go in with our kind of silo thinking going, okay, well, this is remedial, so I'm only going to do trigger point or my fascial release, or I'm only going to do Bowen therapy is the case for me, or I'm only going to do craniosacral therapy. It's like we actually go into the treatment room and we just do whatever it is the client needs. That's what our kind of, that's the whole purpose of, hey guys, if you're watching, give us a shout out. That's the whole purpose to what it is that we're doing, is that we're taking our tool belt in and we're able to serve and help our clients. So what that means is that it's okay to charge for what it is that we do. I believe that it's absolutely okay to make a really profound impact in the world, run a heart-centered business, and make money. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And yet so many therapists I speak to are so scared of putting their prices up, so scared of charging what they're worth. And the biggest challenge they have in business is they're not making enough money. Well, the thing is that when we are confident to put our prices up, then it kind of just happens. People will actually follow through, and it doesn't really matter if they drop off, because if someone is no longer a values match, it's okay to say goodbye to that client. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Doesn't mean they've been a bad client. Oh, maybe they were. However, when you put your prices up, the people that actually love what it is that you do and are willing to invest in their health often are the ones that usually will say things like, good on you. Oh, it's about time. And often that's the feedback that we get. We're not expecting our clients to say. Most of the time we expect if we put our prices up, people are going to judge us. And it's the judgment that holds us back and makes us go, oh, just put it up by maybe $1 or $2 or, oh, I'm not really sure. And the thing is that your clients that love what you do will be willing to pay for what it is that you do and the service that you provide. What I also know about business, I've run 3 businesses now in the last 21 years, most of my adult life, all of my adult life actually. And I know that running a business can be challenging, and it's way easier to deal with challenges when you've got money in the bank. It makes challenges so much easier. So here's the thing, if you are struggling to think about this and you know you need to put them up, and maybe no one else in your area charges that much, maybe you think you come from you couldn't possibly charge more in your lower socioeconomic area. Here's the thing, guys, there are 3 ways that I see therapists charge. Number 1 is they charge like a consumer. You step into the industry, you step into running your own business, and you just charge like you pay, which is I want it as cheap as possible. The challenge is that you are no longer just a consumer. You're actually a provider of a service and you're running a business. And as I said at the start, I believe that it's possible to run a heart-centered, amazing business that makes a huge impact in this world, and that you can also, not only you can make money, but it's okay to make money, and that you can do both together. Forgive my Spanish, porque no los dos, which means why can't we do both? So you can charge like a consumer. The other way that I see therapists or practitioners charging is a 1 or a 2-er, which is where they put their prices up $1 or $2 every 1 or 2 years, whether you need it or not. The challenge is that gets tough, because it's like we start to feel bad. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't. We apologize for the fact that, our prices go up a whole $1 or a whole $2 or a whole $3, or, it's like, oh, it's been 2 years, I shouldn't. The thing is the other way that we see therapists charge, and this is there's a really surprising caveat to this that I think you're going to really enjoy, is they charge as a specialist in their field. If you go and see a specialist GP, a specialist doctor, they charge more, yeah? So they charge like they're a specialist. They charge like they're running a heart-centered business that's making impact. Now, for some people, we always know that there's a couple of clients on our database who we know struggle a little bit for money and stuff like that. Sometimes what we do is we take those couple of people and we judge our entire database on it. So people often say to me, oh, I treat retirees. There's actually quite a lot of wealthy retirees as well. Some of them are fully self-funded and they're getting pensions and things like that. And so, maybe they're not as tight as you believe they are. Sometimes if you have not lived in abundance for a long time, what I would say to that is that you're not your audience. You're not necessarily your target market. Because if you can't afford to have treatment, it probably is because you're not charging enough, and you're not charging enough because, you're worried no one else can afford treatment. And it's like, here's the thing, you're not your audience. So find an audience that is willing to pay for what it is that you do. And then market accordingly. So if you are doing high end, the way that you market might look quite different to if you were doing discounting. Here's the thing that I wanted to say earlier, is that anyone who charges what they're worth, charges premium amounts, doesn't go broke. Besides COVID. The one thing I'll say, enter COVID. And only because there are people that have lived in where it's been locked down for a long time have decided to move north or close their business down. And totally different scenario. They haven't gone broke, or they haven't even gone broke, but they haven't stopped working because of what they're charging. They've stopped working because of other circumstances. But for you guys, we have the opportunity to charge what it is that we're worth. And when we say premium, we're talking $90 to $95 or $100 or more. And that's premium, which means you've got plenty of cash flow and budget in there to be able to attract clients in who get what you do before they even come in. And we seem to find that amount across the board is quite good. And so many people, so many therapists I speak to are so scared of raising their prices. Like, oh my goodness, but I'm only charging 65 because of my socioeconomic area, or I'm only charging 85, or I only put my prices up every 12 months and I only do it on the 1st of January. The thing is that we're making all that stuff up. And if you're thinking like that, then you are thinking like a consumer. And we want to shift our thinking, have a paradigm shift to go, actually, I'm a heart-centered business leader. And whether we like it or not, in our culture, money means influence. The more money you have, the greater the influence you can have on this world. I'm not necessarily saying that's the right way to be, but it is often the case, is that the people that have wealth and live in abundance often have a greater ability to influence people, and we get the opportunity to influence people for the powers of good. How cool is that? We can actually inspire people to make this world a better place. So if you are thinking about, how am I going to do this? Oh my goodness, maybe I should. This is a bit scary. I call it a UTM, or an undie tightening moment. If you're thinking about this as an undie tightening moment, you know what? All growth lives on the other side of your comfort zone. It's going to take time for you to get your mind around. If you've been a consumer and you want to start charging as a specialist, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get used to it. It's going to take time for you to be able to go, okay, I charge. And this is something that I found really interesting when I very first started coaching, listening to people on the phone all the time, was that those that had worked on cruise ships that would charge out at like $250 a session, never came back and charged below $100 a session. And I'm talking 5 years ago, minimum. 5 to 6 years ago when I started coaching. I'm like, why is it that every person I speak to that's had the experience of being on a cruise ship never comes back and heavily discounts? And it was because they had learnt that, well, people will pay $250 a session day in, day out, day in, day out. So when they came back and they charged $120, they may have had challenges in their business, but zero cash flow was not one of them. And I started to think about, well, what have they got? What patterns are they showing up? How are they seeing and viewing the world in a way that sometimes other practitioners don't see the world? And I think part of it is they just got used to saying it's $250 US for an hour of massage, $250 US for an hour of massage. No one is going to come back and only charge $65. It's too much of a difference. So a way that you can stretch yourself to go, okay, well, all growth happens on the other side of my comfort zone. If I want to charge, $90 a session, or I want to charge $100 a session, or I want to charge $120 a session, start saying it out loud and get used to what it feels like. So when someone says to you, great, how much is it for an initial consultation? You're like, $120? Now that's going to happen the first couple of times it pops out, but you can get used to that by doing what we talk about with rebooking, which is like rebook your cat, rebook your dog, rebook your fish. It's the same, using the same tonality when you go to raise your prices. So practice saying the amount that you want to charge, because the more you say it, the easier it is. Another little tactic that we have sometimes is say, if charging $100 just seems beyond ridiculous to you, then say you're going to charge $250. This is ridiculous, but I charge $250 for an hour of massage. What the heck? Okay, great. Well, I charge $200 for an hour of massage. Oh my goodness. I charge $180 for an hour of massage. All right, it's getting a little bit more believable. I charge $150 for an hour of massage. It does make $120 seem cheap, doesn't it? And even just by kind of expanding our language and expanding our influence and expanding our mind to be able to go, all growth happens on the other side of our comfort zone, do the maths. If your goal is to see 25 clients a week across 48 weeks of the year, and you're charging $90, which is a standard amount, it's $108,000. And yet most therapists I speak to are often earning less than minimum wage. Crazy, right? So imagine if you put it up to 110, or you put it up to 100, 110, 120, or charge more for an initial consultation. All of a sudden, the ability to deal with challenges as they come up in your life and in your business with money in the bank makes life a hell of a lot easier. Is it easy? No, not particularly. Is it simple? Absolutely. There's definitely ways that you can grow your muscle of confidence and also your muscle of or feeling okay with it in relation to the client. I remember saying to someone, oh yeah, but they were saying to me, I really feel like now I have to really bring my A game because I'm charging $120 a session. And I'm like, you're telling me you haven't brought your A game for the entire time you've been in business? And they were like, no. I'm like, exactly. It's actually an external pressure that we put on ourselves. We're actually showing up like that anyway. And there's so much power to being rewarded and remunerated for the amazing and incredible and insightful work that we do. So if you are somebody who has been thinking about this for a while and is like, oh, every time I think of it, I feel like I've got my undies get a little bit tighter, and I'm like, oh, then, I'd love to hear, what's your plan? Are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? How much are you going up by? And if you have done it, because I can see there's a few of you on here, if you have raised your prices and you are charging more than 90 and the world didn't stop, the birds didn't fall out of the sky, the sun still rose the next day, let us know. Because in my experience, therapists don't go broke when they're charging what it is that they're worth. But often they will struggle in business and in life and struggle to stay in the industry if they're not being remunerated well for the incredible work that they're doing in the treatment room. So I'd love to hear biggest takeaways. Please feel free to share them. Like I said, if you are currently charging more, let us know how you did it. And if you are currently thinking this is a bit of a UTM, let us know, what are you going to start charging and when are you going to do it? Thanks guys, and I'll speak to you in the next video.